we'll turn it. Excellent. We'll turn it over to Jeff, who will carry on with the next session. Take it away.
All right. As Tommy said, my name is Jeff Reynolds. I've been doing genealogy since about 2008, and I'm stuck on my third great grandfather. I saw a lot of parallels with Jim's presentation, trying to find somebody who was so well known and not finding records for him. And I'll just show you what I've been going through and where I'm stuck and what I've been doing and what I plan to do. And it's fairly short and maybe tie into with some of the stuff Tommy's been saying about Y-DNA, and maybe he could follow up if there's time at the end to maybe clarify some of the stuff I'm saying. I'll share my screen here and I'll try to. There we go. Let's see. I found this old map of the area in question. It's not always apparent to people where a certain county is in a place. Like I said, I've been doing this since about 2008. Got back to my third great grandparents fairly easily. David Reynolds, born in 1806 in Maryland, according to census records and some other records I've gotten. There are probably a dozen other researchers that I've been in contact with who are stuck at the same place. So I've been trying to figure this out. I have things like I have census records. I have death records of children pointing back to David Reynolds. I have his will. I have all kinds of newspaper articles and things like that. So I'm pretty sure that what we have here is a guy that was born in, I'll back this out again, Pennsylvania, Maryland. If you go to the northeast part of Maryland, southeast part of Pennsylvania, this is Cecil County, Maryland here. This is Harford County. This is Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, Chester County, Pennsylvania. David Reynolds apparently was born probably in Cecil in 1806. He got married in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 1830. There's no records of anything. The oldest record I have of him is 1830. 1840, he shows up in the census in 1850 in Little Britain, which is in Lancaster. And then from 1860 on, he's in Harford County, where he lived until he died in 1889. Probably up in this area here. There's all kinds of things pointing to his existence. The census records would show his kids, his will. There's all kinds of things. He worked as a wagon maker, wheelwright, cartwright, what have you. And there's all kinds of things like this. An ad for a stump puller that he built, manufactured and sold by David Reynolds, Prospect, Maryland, Harford County. That's definitely him. There's other new clippings and things like that, mainly from county fairs, things he won, categories he won in, like stump puller or hay press or wagons that he built. There's even advertisements, classified ads from other farmers, I guess, selling hay wagons or 4-horse wagon for sale, and specifies built by David Reynolds. Where's the other thing? 50th anniversary thing, 26 grandchildren attended, 8 great grandchildren. So this is another guy. He doesn't have the prominence that Thomas Reynolds that Jim was researching has, but certainly he's well known, but we don't know anything about other than that they think he was, we believe he was born in 1806. Let's see. His wife, he married a woman named Aberella Metcalf. whose family is well documented, goes back into Quaker records back till the early 1700s in Pennsylvania. The family lore, at least one of my cousins mentioned to me that he'd always heard we descend from a Henry Reynolds. Henry, you might recognize the name Henry and Prudence. That one of the RFA lines that we have, but there's never been any proof of it. I haven't been able to find any records of David Reynolds other than what I just mentioned. Let's see. So in 2014, I took the Y-DNA 37 marker test at family. Sorry about this, but family tree DNA. And my matches were, I had about 8 matches. All of them were Reynoldses, or 7 out of 8 of them, I think at the time, were Reynoldses. And when I wrote to them, they all, or the ones who did reply, 4 or 5 of them, said that they had traced their genealogy back to Henry Reynolds. Henry Reynolds being a immigrant born in 1655 and settled in, I think he first came to New Jersey, and then he settled in the original Nottingham lots that William Penn laid out in what he was saying that at the time was Pennsylvania, which would have been Chester County, right about in this area, which you can see I'm outlining Maryland, because in 1763, the Mason-Dixon line was surveyed, and it showed that they were in Cecil County, Maryland instead. All my family, my dad, my granddad, great-grandfather, second great-grandfather, and David Reynolds are all from this area here. So I took this DNA test. I have clues now that that I descend from Henry Reynolds, but I don't know how. Let's see. Probably make me log back in again. If I go to 37 markers or to 25 markers, there's these different Reynoldses that I've contacted. So I took the, in order to continue this and try to get a little more information, I took the Big Y test. And when I did, I matched one other member of the, well, no, I matched one other guy. I had one match. And let me show you something here. I know I'm all over the place here. This is an interesting website. Scaled innovation. It's a SNP tracker, they call it. I'm getting a little out of order here. When you take a test like a high resolution test like the Big Y 700, one of the things they do is they assign you a what they call a terminal SNP or haplogroup. Then this is an interesting website. I'll put a link to it in the chat. I think everybody should play with this and look at it. It'd be interesting to see where all the different Reynolds lines are in here and how far back they can converge. When I first tested my other match, we shared this SNP right here, and this is the latest mutation that on Y-DNA that 2 people share that have tested. If I was the only one with it, I wouldn't get my own haplogroup. But me and one other guy tested, and I looked up this little number here and found out who it was. He was listed on a surname project for Aitchison. and went back to Scotland. I'm not sure how far. I wrote to him, but never heard back. I just thought it was interesting that he and I were the only two people on Earth that shared this thing. If you look at this is what's interesting. You can see that all the way back to, well, Africa, the different where people have tested and gotten their terminal SNPs from family tree DNA. These go back, you can see the times that go back all the way back to Stone Ages. And then you don't even get up to medieval time until this recently. So you can play around with this thing. You can zoom to
this is a just to supplement, if I can for a second, Jeff, this is a fantastic tool. It shows some of the emerging science that's going into sort of more advanced testing. What we're looking at is the series of genetic mutations on the Y chromosome. And we're looking at what is, I believe, the geographic mean of all of the known people that have tested for that marker or descendants of that marker. So it is not, with certainty that they know that this RU106 fellow lived in, Central Eastern Europe. What is that? I don't know, kind of Northern Czech Republic. But that is a geographic approximation based on all of the available evidence from both ancient, remains that they've, excavated and found in anthropological studies, and you get into the more contemporary era, in these yellow and orange markers, that is based on where the self-reported locations of the men with those markers are.
Yeah,
I don't know if
thank you.
that helped or not. But.
Yeah, that does help. For example, this guy out here, he didn't live out in the middle of the ocean here. This is an average of where these people who tested the same,
yes, exactly,
where their stuff came. So some of them were from England and some of them were
Scandinavia.
From,
yep.
Yeah, Norway and Sweden and Denmark. Viking territory versus Anglo-Saxons, Britons, and so forth. Let me get back to this other thing.
That's right. And Jeff, do keep going. I want to give you a 5-minute warning.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that should be just about right. If I go down to here, here's where the Aitchison guy was, and this goes back to somewhere between 1 BCE and 1060 CE, so average of 610, and we have different surnames. So this is before the surnames started getting passed down, as Tommy mentioned in his talk. Now I test. We convinced another member to test. I hope it's okay. I don't think he'd mind. He's not on here now, but he presented last year. His name is Barry Reynolds. First names only, right? We have a new haplogroup now. Barry and I do, and this only goes back. Look, 1690. Well, Henry Reynolds' son, Henry Reynolds, was born in 1693. 1830 is well within genealogical time frame. And then we had one other fellow, a William Reynolds test. So I've got two matches that go back this far. So I know I'm running out of time. The latest thing here was when I talked to Tommy about these matches, we agreed that it would be ideal if, say, Barry and I or William and I had formed a new haplogroup and separated from William. But what Tommy did find was STR is another type of measurement, a marker, the short tandem repeats. We found a difference that might indicate that I'm closer to Barry than William. Really quickly now, going forward, what my next steps are, we're going to try to contact some other closer Reynolds descendants and see if they'll test. I have some other things I can kind of do. This is a chart I made, a spreadsheet I made of all the descendants of Henry Reynolds. There's 300 lines on here, 300 different individuals. But one thing I can do is go, what I'll call going backwards. You're supposed to start it yourself and work back in time. One thing I can do is try to pick out a line and work forward in time, but this gets complicated really quick for a number of reasons. For example, Henry Reynolds had 5 sons, and his son, Henry Reynolds, had, I think, 12 sons, and it just goes from there. I have mapped out that all the matches I have in YDNA, at least the ones that have reported back to me, descend from this Henry Reynolds, his son here. So that's where I'm at. I'm optimistic. It's kind of fun to dig into the history and also learn about YDNA and kind of participate in this. It's kind of a citizens science project. But like when we first did the test, Tommy said somebody has to go first. You know, you're not going to match anybody when it's just you. But sure enough, some other people have tested. I might never know exactly who David Reynolds' parents are. I think I can tell that I descend from Henry Reynolds. I just don't know exactly how. So I'll keep going, and it's fun. And I'll, Tommy, if you have any other comments, I'll have a minute left. Go right ahead.
Yeah, good. Thank you for sharing, Jeff. And yes, just to supplement, yes, all of the evidence is suggesting that yes, you do descend from the 1693 Henry, because 2 other people that descend from 2 different sons of his have tested, and you are a closer match to one of them, meaning you probably descend from his son Benjamin in particular, because you share at least one generation with that Reynolds than you share with the other Reynolds. And we can go into more detail in another time, but Jeff, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And we will turn now to the next discussion, which will be hosted by Ned. Can we turn off this?